I'm hoping we are live. So, yep, we're back, and it looks like we're live once more. And I had some really different stuff going on. It's funny, whatever it is, I had the computer crash. I had so many epic fails happen. Now, I just did a live stream on my channel. This is the Virtual Intel channel. I apologize for those who watched some of it. People were trying to message me and let me know. But let me show you real quick. This is the live stream here. It's the same exact title, and it was 3 hours and 30 minutes long. I promise this one's going to be very short. I'm just going to get it out there short and sweet. If you're using Plask, you should know by now some of what it entails. If you already got into the detail, definitely check out what I have to show. I was able to achieve, let me show you real quick on Blender, if I can get organized enough. I was able to achieve more like blocking out a lot of the erroneous, out of control motions, the janky motions, and I came up with an end result. This is the render that went through, and here goes the animation. I'll show you real quick. Some of it isn't that great, but it's definitely much better than the original. The original is really, you can see the arms moving crazy. It looks like it's hemorrhaging a little bit, and the legs is not that accurate. So if you want to clean up your animations from Plask, this is the way to do it. I'm gonna show you real quick after you finish watching this. It takes knowing the graph editor on Blender. If you already know the graph editor, it should work out for you. For those who are brand new to animation, have no idea, you really got to take a lot of time to learn everything that it takes to understand the graph editor and the Blender UI and things like that. So you're not going to really get that in one day or 1 week or 1 month. It takes time. But if you have experience with the graph editor, you can definitely clean it up and go in hard on Plask and come out with some decent animations. Now, the reason why I'm not showing the feet is because the feet does have some little sliding issues. So I'm trying to pull off a way to fake the funk so that you don't have to deal with the sliding and it looks like it's just making a walk cycle or a step here or there to gesture some sort of a transitional change in the foot position. So let me bring you back to Blender. For those who don't know about Blender, like I said, go dig in hard and try to figure out how to use it. I'll be coming up with some tutorials on how to, the basic stuff to Blender that I know of, but I'm not the best at Blender, so that's why I don't do tutorials on Blender or for Blender users. I just come up with what I've recently been working on. That's what I've been doing because I'm more of an animation student and a 3D modeling student. I'm not an expert at in any way, shape, or form. But pretty much this is what you want to do. What I did in Blender, I brought in one model starting out, and then I brought in multiple, I would say two models. So the first model, this is not the actual first one. So what I'll do is take him and hide him. So that way you'll see how I did this. So I brought in the first model. It's a FBX file. It's just a UE4 mannequin that I brought in from Plask. If you know how to export on Plask or not, whatever the case may be, exporting is very simple. You just go and highlight the area that you're trying to export. You right click and then it comes in as an exported option. They have different formats. They have FBX and GLB as well as BVH, but pretty much you're going to be jumping back and forth between FBX and GLB. GLB is highly recommended if you want to retarget over on Blender using the Rococo Studio tool or add-on if you're doing retargeting and things like that, or any other retargeting tool. GLB is highly recommended. I have epic fails on FBX file types trying to retarget on Blender. So let's go back to Blender. Let's bring in the mannequin. We're going to import it and we're going to go to armature and make sure this is set at automatic bone orientation, so your bones can come out looking correct. Once it comes in, you want to just change some of the things in the Blender viewport. So you're going to go in, select the bones, or the bones should be selected already. If not, you could select the bones, you go in and then send it to the front. So you go to in front, which most Blender users already know. So that's what this video is for, is people who already know how to use Blender. For those who are novice, I'm gonna have to do a separate video. That's why my live stream was so long. It was over 3 hours, but I was basically breaking down every little detail and I didn't realize the audio wasn't working. But it's all good. I'll do that again another day. I don't have the time. I lost 3 hours, obviously. But pretty much once you do that, you want to have the graph editor open, and you want to also have your timeline open on Blender. So if you're not familiar with the timeline or the graph editor on Blender, definitely check those out. Look up as many tutorials as you possibly can learn and try to get the understanding down pat. But basically, you're going to be going and using those periodically throughout the whole entire time to try to clean up your animation. So this is how you're going to see what it looks like. It's going to look, the graphs are going to look all kind of crazy and everything. But after you finish cleaning it up, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So we're going to go to the other character. So you want both characters in there. So you want one model and you want to duplicate that model. So you're either going to import it twice or you're going to use the duplication option, which is when you're in object mode, make sure that the mesh is selected and the bones are selected, and you just do Shift D, and then you can move it over to the side. That's what I recommend for you to do. Just move it over to the side. So every time you're doing different animations, different reworks or whatever, you have one reference and you have the other one for cleanup. So you're working on all of the differing bone / armature rig of that character you're trying to clean up, right beside the character reference of the janky motion and messed up animations or whatever the case may be. You want to have both. The reason being is because you can use the other one to help you if you make any errors in the one that you're cleaning up. So let me delete this one. I just wanted to show you how to do that. So we're going to alternate H and bring back the other one. So with the other one, you'll see that I got rid of a lot of the what do they call it? A lot of the issues with the graph editor. So actually it doesn't look like that. It should look, let's see. There it is. So this is all of the graph stuff here. And the graph editor has been edited out a great deal. You can see some of the stuff looks a little different. When I go to the other one, you'll see that some portions of the graph is changed up. Here goes this one, and you'll see there's higher peaks. See there's some high peaks. And over here, if you switch to this one, the peaks are cut off to some degree. Some stuff is different. So the reason why that is the case is because what I did, I went on YouTube and I tried to figure out by typing into the search field how to use the graph editor. Obviously, this was about a week ago or so. And once I first started building up the knowledge, I would say about 2 or 3 days ago, I went in and pinpointed exactly what I wanted to do. So I wanted to go in and correct some of the curvature. And upon that, I was able to find another video that helped me to figure out other stuff that I could do. So you hit the F3 key on the keyboard, on your keyboard. So you hit the F3 and you type in either clean keyframes if you're using a newer version of Blender. I'm using Blender 3.1, the version 3.1. I believe it's an alpha version. I'm not sure if it's alpha or beta or whatever. And the latest one is 3.2. But for now, I'm using Blender 3.1. And in the older versions of Blender, I believe is decimate. It's called decimate keyframes. So they changed the terminology, I believe. And because I can't find it, if I try to search using the F3 and I search decimate keyframes, it doesn't show up. It just says decimate something else. So if I type in decimate, it says decimate ratio and then decimate allowed change. That's all it does. But it does have key over here, so I don't know if it does the same thing. I doubt it. So instead, if you type in clean, you'll see it says clean channels, clean keyframes, clean channels, etc. So you want to do clean keyframes. In terms of utilizing the clean keyframe, sorry about that. What that does is basically reduce the amount of keyframes that you have. So when you got a motion capture file, generally it's going to have every single keyframe keyed in. So by using the clean keyframes, what it does is it will reduce the amount of keyframes on every single channel. That means on every single dimension / rotation / 3D plane of view. If you have everything selected, obviously it's going to go and try to reduce all the keyframes for every single thing. Now, if you only have certain things selected, over on the far left, where you see right here in the bottom left, if you have certain positions selected, it's only going to clean up just those particular positions. So I just wanted y'all folks to see firsthand what you can basically see, and then you can go in and edit out everything that you want. So it takes time to do all of the editing of keyframes, and you can also go in and do what is known as smoothing. So it's up to you how you want certain things to look. So say you wanted to get rid of the X position for a particular bone, or the Y position, location / rotation of a particular bone, you go in and you do that. So say the hip bone is the issue that you're trying to clean up, you go into pose mode, select the hip bone, and I don't know why that did that. Shouldn't be on cursor. Let's move the cursor out the way. 3D cursor. All right, so say you on the hip bone. So what you want to do is go into the graph editor, and you only want to indicate just the hip bone. You don't want to have everything. So you can use this little pin thing to bring up everything or hide it. So now, say you just wanted to eliminate the Y location. So Y location is the Y axis, and anything with respect to moving on the Y axis. So if I wanted to eliminate a certain amount of keyframes for the Y axis, let me drop all of this down to the summary level. So as you can see over here, I have like from around 40 something to 340 in the keyframes for the hip is missing. So all of those were deleted. That's on the one that I actually got the end product of that video that y'all folks saw. So for this brown background character of the UE4 mannequin. So let's go to the other one. The one that has all the janky motion still in it. See, all the keyframes are still loaded up in here. So I got tons of keyframes still here. So nothing is pretty much edited out on this one. So this is the dirty version, and this one is my clean version that I had to work on, basically. So you want to do that, bouncing back and forth from the dirty version to the clean version, dirty version, clean version, and you keep going hard at getting rid of what you want to get rid of. Another thing that you can do, say you wanted to get, like I was talking about the curves, you want the curves to be smoothed down and things like that. You want that janky motion to be reduced as much as you possibly can. You use the alternate key and the 0 key on the keyboard, and you'll see how the character's moving a little bit, and you see the graph kind of like went flat in certain parts. So let me show you. The one on the left is the dirty version, which is this one, and watch the motion. So what I did is I actually got rid of too much. So basically it's just going to have a minimum amount of motion, very, very minute. You don't even have the hand sways or the arm sways. The leg is not really swinging, nothing swinging. It's just moving from left to right. Even the rotations are kind of weak. See that? So keep that in mind. That was all of the keyframes that I reduced. It looks like all the keyframes are selected. See that? That's why that happened. So if I want to get that to work, I have to indicate exactly what I want to get rid of. One of the things that I noticed is that when you go from one armature or rig to another armature / rig, when you go into pose mode, or whenever you're in the main mode, the object mode, everything will be left where it was at in the previous change that you did. So what I mean by that is, say you only wanted to do the hips, for the other rig it's going to still be selected. So let me hit the pause so you can see what I'm talking about. When you select the other rig, see the selections that I had here. So this one is for the armature only. We got to go to pose mode, and when you select the hip, it should just be the hip location, and that's it. Hold on 1 second. Hey, what's up, babe? No, I didn't leave because the session was messed up. It didn't have any audio, so I'm just revisiting it and then revising it real quick, and then I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave whenever I'm done. I'm not gonna be here that long. I have to eat, so I'm gonna be leaving very soon.
To also get meat or fish.
I know. I'm gonna be leaving soon, okay? Alright. Alright, sorry about that, folks. This is live, so bear with me. Yeah, pretty much whatever you had selected in here is gonna be left selected. That's what it should have done. So say I wanted to just do the X, say the X and Y hips location. Another way to do it is to, when you see these little eyes, these eyes will shut off only certain areas, and then it will make visible only the ones that you want. So see the graph just disappeared? That's the Z location hips graph. So you make those disappear by using the little eye icon. So I'm still at the hips, and I'm not sure why all of this other stuff is coming up. It shouldn't be coming up. Okay, it says object transform. I shouldn't be selected in an object. So pose mode. Don't know why the object transform is coming up. But whatever the case is, I got only those two selected. So those two graphs are the only ones that should show up. See, so I got these two graphs. And then if I want to copy just those keyframes, it's just those two that's going to show up down here too. So I could drop the summary and stuff like that, and I can go in and scroll in onto what portions of the keyframes I want to grab for those particular positions. So the X and Y positions for the hip will either be copied or omitted if I only copy that portion. So that's from whatever rig you want to use. So this is the clean rig, so maybe I want to just grab that from the clean rig and bring it over to the dirty rig. I don't know. Depends on what I want to do. So it's up to you what you choose to do, but you want to play and jump back and forth between the dirty rig and the clean rig and play around with these differing functions through the graph editor. And when you do that, you're going to start to notice that you're getting different changes, and you're going to see that you can eliminate a lot of the things that you don't want to see in your animation, and over time you can refine it to the point where you get it accurately to what exactly you want to move. So, but you got to go bone by bone. So the only bones I worked on in my previous session was the hip bones, the thigh bones and the shin bones. And I did them individually. So you don't want to do multiples at once because then it gets kind of confusing. So you want to block out only certain animations that you want to focus upon. So you go in the opposite direction. Instead of you building off a reference, your animations, you're actually eliminating motions that's in a pre-configured animation that has a reference built in already, basically, because the mocap is providing a reference for you. So the dirty mocap obviously is going to be your main reference for everything that you want to see, and then your clean one is going to be the one that you can build upon. But then you can go and flip back and forth with copying and basically copying and pasting keyframes. So that way maybe you're going to have a third rig that accepts all of the data in. So these two will be the ones you're playing with, the clean one and the dirty one, and then the refined one would be the last one that all of your differing keyframes are landing on. So you can do that as well. Maybe you can start out with a T-pose and then start to submit slowly but surely every little thing that you want to pull from and extract from. But if you don't use the graph editor and you don't do the refinements, you're not really going to see much of a difference. All you're going to do is keep playing around with orientations of keyframes, one keyframe at a time, but that's not really going to help you to go down to the real refined points of the Z axis, the Y axis, and the rotation, the location, etc. Because that's what the graph editor does. It breaks down every single positional orientation as possible, even to the scale level. And so basically that's pretty much what you have to do in a nutshell. So in my previous live stream, I showcased everything and talked about it all the way to the nth degree. But in this live stream, I can't really do that because it will take me another maybe 2 hours or so to do it. But hopefully this helps for people to understand. You can copy keyframes for sure from one character model to another. So I can show you this here on the hip. Say I wanted to just copy from 0 to 660 something. I just go to right click and copy. Make sure you're down in the keyframe area of the plate of the timeline. And then when you're doing this type of thing, you want to make sure you know where you're at. So I'm in pose mode on the clean version of the model. So we're going to go to the dirty version and copy that right over. If you want to do a good copy, you want to know exactly what keyframes that you copied over, so that way you don't screw it up from start to end point. So what I mean by that is you go to pose mode. Actually, sorry, you go back to the other one, go to pose mode, and you see where your start and end was. So my start looks like the 1. So I was at the 1 frame. You can actually start somewhere else in between. So let's do that. So leave the 1 frame alone. I just want to show y'all folks you can start in between. So my start is at 340 and my end, see when they highlight in orange is where your frames are selected, keyframes. So we're at 664. So from 440, I think that's what it was. No, 340 to 664. So 340 to 664. We'll go back to object mode. 340, 664, 340, 664. Okay, go to pose mode, and then you have to select that exact bone. And then go to the exact keyframe. So 340 to 664. So 340. See if this works. 340. There we go. And I have to move this over here. You can also use the select, or not select, the shift button on your keyboard to help you. 664. Hold on, my bad. Shift, because the shift key will allow you to highlight the exact keyframes that you want. So 664 is somewhere around there without dropping the other keyframes. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's it right there. So I'm going to delete these. The reason why you want to delete is because you don't want any issues. So you delete these and then you go back to the 340? 340 was the start. And wherever you have the playhead is where it's going to paste. So make sure the playhead is at the very start point of where you copy from. So do control paste and it should go in. Hold on 1 second. It's not working. I don't know why. All right, let's go back to the other one. It was working in my previous session. So right click, copy. Well, now I'm in object mode, but it doesn't matter because I was in pose mode before and it should have been fine. Okay, so we're gonna go to the other one and let's try to do it in pose in object mode. All right, so it works in object mode. It didn't work in pose mode, but pretty much those keyframes were copied and only what I wanted it to copy is gonna go over. So now we hit the play and you'll see that the character is kind of doing the same exact thing all the way through that. And then it goes back to its regular motion. See that? So now it's back to its regular motion. So what I did is I pretty much cleaned the keyframes, so it's not doing exactly what it should have been doing. Let me get a dirty, I'll get a dirty one. Hold on 1 second. Let's delete this one. I'll get a dirty model. So the dirty model will be coming in a second. So you can see what I'm saying. Put the dirty model in there. Okay, there goes the dirty model, and we'll start at 340 again. To 6, whatever. We'll just select all this. 664. Like that. And 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So we'll delete this one. And put the start at 340. Hey, baby. Okay, and then I'm gonna paste this in. All right, so let's see what it does. Yep, it did it. So let's go back and you'll see once it hits, actually, let's go to 1, the 1 frame. And you'll see it does everything except for that portion once it hits 3 something. So when you see the playhead come over here, you're gonna see it's gonna do different from the janky motion. See? Look at that. Let's show you one more time. I'm gonna end this session after this because this basically shows you folks that you can do it. So hit the play. I'm gonna move it over so you can see how janky it is. See the arms being all janky, and this one's not. Now watch when it gets to 3 something in the timeline. It's coming over here. It's almost there. See? Actually, it just went by. It goes by quick. See, there goes the playhead right there. Now watch. Janky motion is gonna stop. See that? So, you know, you basically can do that kind of stuff and play around and play around. Keep playing around. and with the right positional orientations of the X, Y, Z axis, whichever one you extract, you're going to get exactly what you want over time. It just takes time to play with it. And I'll do much more better videos, more accurate videos, and in detail, so y'all folks can know exactly what I did. But that's basically a summary. And for those who are skilled at using Blender, I'm pretty sure you already know how to do this stuff. But if you didn't know any little small part, maybe you know the graph editor, but you haven't really played around with motion capture files, there you go. I'm out of here. Your love and peace to all. Mike Pugh signing off. I'll see y'all folks in the future videos, whatever kind of live streams I try to come up with. But basically, it's going to be animations for now. Peace out.